Joining me right now, Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Texas, a member of the House Ways and Means Committee. Sir, thank you so much for being here. So I understand that the House, you guys gavelled in, you then were immediately dismissed. Is that what happened? Because we were keeping our eye on the Senate as Mitch McConnell was talking.
That's right, Alex. It's good to be with you again. You know, it's clear from this government shutdown, from all of the events, incredible events of the last week, that we have a president who is unhinged, untrustworthy, and that his continual vacillation, impulsive action really threatens the security of American families economically and their physical, our national security.
So tell me, sir, the fact that the House passed the resolution that allowed for the $5 billion spending on border security / the wall for the president, but now is the sentiment that has to be brought back? I mean, we had a $1.6 billion to the $5 billion. Where do you see this ending ultimately?
I think it's very unclear. I think what we can be sure of is it will not end at the earliest until near the end of this next week. Which is so unfortunate for the hundreds of thousands of federal employees and their families who are directly affected, and by others who might want to take advantage of those federal services. How our country is more secure when we deny a paycheck to a Border Patrol man or woman is really difficult to see. And of course, I don't believe Mitch McConnell would have ever sent that resolution over to the House to consider without President Trump's blessings. And yet the president changed his mind. And so it's unclear what agreement can be reached that the president will stick with and assure some certainty. I think all we can be certain of is that as long as his enablers in the House and in the Senate continue to apologize for him and enable him, we will lurch from one crisis to another, not only next week, but through the course of the next 2 years.
So, Congressman, look, the president's approval of a certain number notwithstanding, is there a number that Democrats feel that they can compromise on that would resolve all of this? Has one been bantered about?
No, I think the original resolution the president agreed to is about where it needs to end up. Democrats support security. Certainly, we're as concerned about keeping American families safe as anyone, but we don't support wasting money on a wall through the desert. And so I don't see significant change in that. I think there'll be opposition from people in the House to any major change in that.
Congressman, you heard Jeff Bennett talking about the tweet the president just put out. He speaks about the lunch that'll be happening with a number of people. He says a very large group. But he says concerning border security, he neglected to say the word wall. Is that something that Democrats could come on board with saying, we're going to provide this kind of money for border security, but not necessarily to a monolithic looking concrete structure or to these slabs or however the president is envisioning it at this point? Is that something that could find a compromise?
Well, this isn't just a matter of language. You know, he has moved from wall to spiked metal fence, slatted fence, now to security. We could reach agreement that we're for security. We are already devoting more federal law enforcement resources to the border than all the rest of federal law enforcement put together. So reasonable expenditure that actually secures the border, we can support. Wasting money, whatever the name is applied, I think we're not for that.
Congressman Doggett, do you have a prediction how soon this shutdown will end? Is there a scenario where both sides win politically, where the American people win by having border security along the southern border and elsewhere in this country?
Well, I think we have a significant level of border security now, as indicated by the very comments that we just heard Mitch McConnell make about how much has been stopped at the border already. Additional monies can be expended there. We can find problems and try to correct them. I hope that we'll see this come to a conclusion this next week. But if not, on January 3rd, after we put in a new and much improved Congress, and some of these Republican enablers have been sent home thanks to voters across America, we need to send back to the president the same resolution that the Senate has already approved.
Do you think it would be in the president's best interest in terms of getting what he specifically campaigned on, what he specifically wants here, if he were to make a deal between now and January 3rd? Because come January 3rd, it's going to be even more difficult to get something done.
Well, I think that's true. He has more Republican enablers now than he will have on January the 3rd. There'll still be a number there, particularly in the Senate. At some point, they have to put country first and say the security of our families and our future and the operations of our government are more important than their party. And I believe we will see a time in coming months, perhaps after the Mueller report, when some Republicans will put country first and stand up to this president who is doing our families so much harm, not just the 800,000 or so federal employees and their families who are directly affected now, but all of us who are threatened by the constant chaotic nature of his administration.
Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Texas, thank you, sir, for sticking around on this extraordinary weekend. Safe travels to you and happy holidays.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. We will have a happier new year with a new Democratic Congress.
We will look forward to that. Thank you so much, sir.